Viktor Gyokeres to Arsenal is finally done. It is a here we go from Fabrizio Romano. It's done. The saga is over. Arsenal have finally got it done. I'm not going to act surprised. You're not going to act surprised. We all knew this was happening. It was a matter of when, not if. And Arsenal have finally done it. And look, Arsenal, I think they've gone about this very well because this deal was very similar to Mbeumo for United, where Manchester United and Arsenal were taking quite a long time. We all kind of knew that Gyokeres and Mbeumo were destined for those clubs, but those two clubs were kind of dragging it out a little bit, whether there was, disagreements in the fee and on wages, whatever it might be. But Mbeumo got done a few days ago and Gyokeres is done now. And the key difference between Arsenal's business and United's business is that United still need to sign so many more players in so many more positions. They've only got 2 deals done. Gyokeres was Arsenal's main man. He was their main target in the position that they needed to strengthen for next year. And the position that they've been needing to strengthen for the last half a decade, pretty much. And they got all the rest of their deals done quite early on. Zubimendi, Mosquera, Madueke. And then they were like, look, we've got the rest pretty much done. Let's dedicate some time and energy into getting our man, who ideally is going to be the man who makes a difference, who is the missing piece of the puzzle. Because that's all we've been saying about Arsenal. The reason why they haven't won the title when they finished second for the last 3 years, we've all been saying it's because they don't have a reliable man up top. To be honest, when was the last time they even signed a striker to be reliable up top? I think that was Gabriel Jesus, who they signed in 2021, I think it was. Or maybe 2022. I think they signed him in 2022, the summer of that year. And look, but he was never really going to score goals like a guy like Gyokeres could. And, like a guy who's leading a title-winning team up front should. He was never going to do that. Gabriel Jesus is a great player, but he's not, his ceiling is probably around 15 league goals a season, in my opinion. This is a statement signing. Because Arsenal finished second 2 years ago with Kai Havertz leading the line for most of the season. This season, they finished second again. Granted, they weren't as close as the previous years, but this season they finished second again with Havertz and Marino as their front 2 options, which none of them are really strikers, let's be honest. And even if you want to call Havertz a striker, he's not really a very good one. He's not going to get you goals like Gyokeres has got in Portugal. That's the one issue. Can he translate his Portuguese form or his form in Portugal into the Premier League? We haven't really seen that translation go well in the past. I mean, Darwin Núñez is a key example. Scored God knows how many goals in Portugal, garnered up a fee of £80 million or something it was to Liverpool. And I think his highest goal scoring season was 10 goals, 11 goals? He hasn't been a success at all. And now I don't think they'd get near profit if they were to resell him. What I think is smart about this, though, is it's not like Núñez, who I think had one really good year in Portugal when he was still young, developing. This is a guy who's in his prime now. He's entering his prime. They've signed him on a 5-year deal. So ideally, for the next 5 years that he's at Arsenal, he will be in his prime peak years. Whether he's in peak form is a whole different conversation, but he will be in his prime years. You'd hope so. And he's also a player who's kind of developed quite late. I mean, yeah, the guy was good at Coventry, but think before that, at Brighton, he wasn't getting game time. Before he was at Swansea. He wasn't really, when most players, break onto the scene at 19, 20, 21, this guy only really started making waves around, 24, 23, when he was having a great year at Coventry in the Championship and then went to Sporting, obviously started smashing it there. And he's only been at Sporting for 2 years. But the guy's 26, 27? I don't think that's a bad thing, though. I think that's a good thing because the guy might be 26, but I genuinely think this could be a striker who doesn't deteriorate early like a lot of other strikers do, who start off very young and then maybe just build up injuries or just kind of burn out too early. No, I think this guy this is a statement move. He hasn't made a statement move at 21 or 22. This is his move now, and he's going to be so hungry to use these prime years of his career to win trophies, to bring success to Arsenal. And also the fee for me is very, very reasonable. 63.5 million euros plus 10 million in add-ons. So just over 70 million euros in total, which is about just under 60 million pounds, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. It is quite expensive for a player from the Portuguese league, but I don't think it's that bad. I don't think it is. I think, if anything, I'd lean more to a good deal than a bad deal, purely because this is a guy who not only scores goals, but he's got the profile of a goal scorer. It's almost like you see his play style. You watch him play, or you see his physique. You see how he carries himself on the pitch. And you almost look at that and think, that can't not score goals. That person has been perfectly built to score goals. Gyokeres is a striker. I think if you asked someone who doesn't watch football, what position do you think this player is? They'd say striker. Because he's got all the characteristics. Maybe they'd say centre-back because he's big and tall. Once you watch him play, you see how strong he is. You see how fast he is. And those are all attributes that are key in a striker. Not to mention his finishing and his conviction and his accuracy in front of goal. This guy is going to score goals for Arsenal. I really do believe that. Which hurts to say as a Chelsea fan. I don't want Arsenal to go win trophies. I don't want Arsenal to have success. But fair play to them. If I was an Arsenal fan, I'd be gassed at this move. I'd be absolutely ecstatic because this is what they've been needing for so long. So long. This is exactly what they've been needing and what fans have been crying out for. What this does tell me, though, is that Arteta, this is his last year. This is his last chance, sorry. It's his last chance. You can't not go and win something with this. Something. What is the excuse now? Every single player in Arsenal is a player who either developed under Arteta when they were young and Arteta moulded them into his player, or a player that Arteta signed. I cannot think of an example of a player who was at Arsenal for maybe 2 years before Arteta came in. There might be somebody, but I can't think of one. So there really is no excuse now. He's got his keeper, Raya. He's got his two centre-backs, Saliba and Gabriel. He's got his full-backs. He's got his... I could just go on. The whole team's his. The whole team's his now. He's got his winger with Madueke now. He's got his striker with Gyokeres. There really is no excuse, unfortunately. You have to go... And whether it's a cup or the league or Champions League, it has to be something. And Arsenal fans, you tell me, but would you be happy with a cup? Would you be pleased? I mean, obviously you'd be happy with the cup. Who wouldn't be? Let's say you finish third in the league or second in the league, but you're kind of far off whoever wins it, and you weren't really giving them a proper run for their money. And in the Champions League, you maybe get eliminated in the quarters, but you win the Carabao Cup. Would you be satisfied? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'd be satisfied with that. I'm not sure. For me, the minimum what you can achieve with this team, the minimum of what you can achieve is a cup. I truly believe that. I don't see how you can't win a cup with this team. It all has to go wrong for that to happen. Saka has to get injured. Gyokeres has to not adapt and not score goals. Saliba and Gabriel, one of them two, has to get injured as well. All this stuff. There has to be a lot of misfortunes that have to go on for this not to succeed, for this not to work. Because this, for me, is, like I said, the missing piece of the puzzle for Arsenal. It is. And they finished second the last 3 seasons. For me, the last 3 seasons also, this was still the last missing piece of the puzzle. So if they did that without that piece, finishing second consistently, proving that the rest of the team is up for the challenge and worthy of a title, I do not see why not. Now, they aren't worthy of the title with this, the whole team. Now, obviously, this is going to depend, like I said, on factors like how do the other teams perform. Liverpool obviously had a crazy window, City as well, and you never know with Chelsea. Also depends on, like I said, injuries, how Gyokeres performs. But this is more strictly Gyokeres' video. So focusing on Gyokeres, if Gyokeres doesn't perform, well, why would Gyokeres not perform, first of all? So Gyokeres obviously comes from Portugal, like I mentioned. Has there really ever been a striker from Portugal who's banged it out there and come into Europe and done great? Not coming to Europe, coming to the top 5 leagues and done great. Again, there will probably be someone out there. But I'm thinking in the last 10 years, Nunez, a lot of people talk about Bastos. I haven't seen it. But yeah, like I said, Gyokeres kind of, to me, just gives me the impression that he needs this. And he's been wanting this his whole career. He's been patiently waiting for his turn and his time. And when he finally got his turn, he's taken it. The last 4 years, you got the 2 years at Sporting, which have obviously been great. But the 2 years at Coventry, where he was also very, very good and almost got them promoted as well. So this guy's, quietly been working his way up. And now, as soon as he's reached what he thinks is the tier below this, and he just needs, a transfer to make it this, he's already got the ability. He's gone and taken it. You saw how hungry and desperate this guy was for the move. He was not going training. He was telling the owners, look, accept whatever bid. I don't care. As long as you accept it, because I'm going. He's been wanting this move this whole summer. He's had his eyes on Arsenal. Like Fabrizio Romano says, he only wanted Arsenal. And that to me is a sign of intent. It's a sign of I'm coming here, I'm confident in my abilities to come here, lead the line and win trophies and score goals and do my part. And honestly, I don't see why not. Apart from the league and the accommodation, I don't see why not. He's already played in English football to an extent in the Championship. We've seen loans in the Championship succeed and then come into the Premier League and do well. So yeah, that is my opinion. I think he'll do well. And obviously this is a signing that Arsenal have been needing. And I think they've got the best option on the market. I think Gyokeres is less of a risk than Šeško and potentially would have been cheaper than Šeško as well. And yeah, I also think he's more proven than Šeško. Šeško, for me, hasn't had an elite season yet. And whether you want to call Gyokeres' season elite or not, because of the league he was in, that's fine. But the numbers he was putting up were elite. He was putting up elite numbers. I think he was double figures in assists as well. So he will contribute, certainly, to the attack. Slightly more on Arsenal now. This is probably the squad that Arteta's going to be using next year. You've obviously got Ryan goal, the two centre-backs, Saliba and Gabriel. I'd put Timber and Skelly at full-backs. Maybe if Calafiori's fit, he'll go in instead of Skelly. But you lot let me know if you think Calafiori starts over Skelly. For me, no. I think Skelly proved himself last season to be, the main option at left-back. Calafiori obviously can fill in left-back or centre-back if anyone's injured or suspended. But Skelly, to me, is just going to keep growing and growing. Here I've got Rice, obviously, as the holding midfielder. We've got Zubimendi playing alongside him, and then Odegaard in the 10. Saka on the right, Madueke on the left, Gyokeres up top. Now, I've tried to include the new signings of Zubimendi and Madueke, so if you think Martinelli starts over Madueke, that's fine. If you think Marino starts over Zubimendi or whatever. But yeah, this is the squad, and this to me looks like a Premier League winning squad. I'm sorry, it just does. I see one of the best keepers in the league. I see probably the best centre-back pairing in the league, maybe except for Liverpool's. I see a very, very good pivot here with Rice and Zubimendi. I see a very good 10 in Odegaard, who obviously hasn't been at the top of his game the whole of last season, to be honest. He's still a quality player. You got Saka, who's obviously Saka. He's borderline world class. If he's getting a run of games and he's staying fit and he's on form, the guy's one of the best players in the league. And then we've got Gyokeres up top, who obviously is the needle mover here, is the key difference to past years, and is the one we're all going to have our eyes on next season. Then Madueke as well. Look, Madueke is probably the one guy that you can look at this squad and look at and think we've got a bit of a weakness there. I don't think Madueke is that big of an upgrade on Martinelli. I don't think he's that much better. If he is that little bit better, I don't think Martinelli is that much worse. I think they're quite similar players in terms of just quality. I think both inconsistent, both sort of unreliable at times. You can't really count on them. But I think if Madueke's got Saka around him, he's got Odegaard around him, he's got Gyokeres around him, he'll do fine. But yeah, Mosquera obviously is another option at centre-back who they've just signed. Kepa will be the backup keeper. So I see good depth in this team. I see maybe a few more signings have to be made. Maybe another midfielder, maybe another 10 sort of backup for Odegaard. I don't know. Arsenal fans, tell me, what do you think needs improving with this team? But honestly, like I said, I see a Prem winning team. I see in each position, I see a player who is arguably one of the best in the position in the league, maybe except for Madueke. Zubimendi, we don't know much of yet. Skelly has a lot to prove himself. Nwaneri as well, just signed a new contract. He could probably go there for Saka at times as well, maybe fill in for Odegaard too, or just one of the midfielders. But yeah, man, like I said, no excuses this year for Arteta. I'm going to be watching, as a Chelsea fan, I'm going to be watching closely at Arsenal's performances. Obviously worrying about my own, because Maresca also has a lot of pressure on him this season. But I'm going to be keeping an eye on Arsenal, because it's going to be very interesting to see if it doesn't kick on, and if there really isn't a proper title fight until the last day, and if there isn't a cup success, if there isn't a good run in the Champions League, this could get ugly, bro, because I don't see what else changes that except for now the manager. If this doesn't work, you can't just sack off Gyokeres and sign another striker. You can't sack off Saka. I don't think they need to replace Rice or Zubimendi. There's two centre backs that are world class. So there's nothing there. There's no excuse left. The only one that was left was the striker. Now there's nothing left. There is no more excuses. Now they need to let their performances do the talking. And we'll be the judges of that. So, yeah. Gyokeres to Arsenal is done. 5-year deal. And promising stuff for Arsenal. And obviously, I'll be giving you developments on their season, and we'll be talking about them a lot. I think we will. So yeah, I'll see you in a bit.